had an interest in it. I remember when I first enrolled in engineering, I was really upset because the university wouldn't let me do fine art with engineering. I worked as an engineer for a few years, and I wasn't really happy in consulting, but was doing some really interesting work. And then came the global economic crisis in 2009, I think it was, and all us young engineers lost our jobs. And I was like, I'm going to go to art school. I often joke that as an engineer, if you tell someone you're going to talk to them about pipes and pumps, like, good luck, you will put them to sleep. And yet, if you approach these things from a more interdisciplinary perspective, from a perspective as like, oh, I'm a naive artist, how can we rethink these things? Or what are they actually doing? Or like, how might a pipe be different? Or what is this failure? Is this an opportunity for us to learn something? Then you can talk about it, right? And so I think that's super important because, I mean, from my experience within the sort of private sector engineering, there's not a lot of opportunity to have that sort of experimentation and to ask those questions. I apply for a lot of things. You have to apply for everything. And look, for a number of years I was really involved in supporting art spaces and helping put on events for other people, and I wasn't making work myself. So in hindsight that was really valuable because it kind of gives you this insight into what it's like and how people go about doing these things, and like you get introduced to a community of people who are doing it. And so that was really important for me. And then only years and years and years later I was like, oh, I want to make some projects too. And Sydney has some really wonderful galleries that support emerging artists. So yeah, a big part of like beginning an art career is just applying for everything and getting knocked back from 80-90% of things. Collaborate. I personally find working by myself can at times be challenging because you can't build anything alone. So a lot of the projects I do are collaborations with people, and I find that very rich because you both have different skill sets, and it also means you can bounce ideas and bring different perspectives to it. And definitely like finding that community of practice, like the community of people who are doing similar sorts of things, is really important because that's how work is done in other sectors, right? We just call them companies or workplaces or departments or whatever. And having people you can talk to about ideas and process, but also like what happens if you felt disappointed with an exhibition or you got rejected from this application or whatever. It's really important to be able to sort of have people who understand that and are like, don't worry, do this, or I'll proofread your application, or just that community of practice. That public speaking is really hard. I think the wonderful thing about TEDxSydney is how diverse it is too, and that there are, every speaker is so amazing in their particular field and so different to, the work I do. So it's been learning about the sort of these amazing practices out there.